And Baker, congratulations on I Am No Bird. Why did you make this film?
I made this film because I found myself questioning whether or not I wanted to get married. And it seemed, like an institution that really wasn't designed to benefit women. But at the same time, it was something that I was really interested in. I wanted to kind of learn more about it because it's such a pervasive institution. It's so much a part of our culture and a part of so many cultures in the world. And so I was curious to kind of learn about why women got married these days and what they took from it and what they kind of had to give up to do it. Yeah, I was curious.
Well, you do show, I guess, both sides of the marriage issue. On the one hand, you do show the cultural elements and forces that can be at play in someone getting married or in a woman getting married. On the other hand, you do also show a lot of joy about the fact that someone's getting married. So you seem to cover what some people might consider the contradiction of marriage.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I feel that women live in contradictions. Our lives are often very contradictory. It's very difficult to be, I guess, quote unquote, a good woman, because you're endlessly scrutinized. You're either too one way or too far the other way. And so, yeah, I guess I wanted to show that, for me, I feel like marriage is just one more institution that was designed without women in mind. And I suppose you can, some women choose to engage with it, some women don't. But at one point or another, we all have to engage with patriarchal institutions. And I'm really interested in the way that women navigate those institutions, the resilience they have, and the intelligence and the strength they show in bending rather than breaking.
How do you describe yourself as a filmmaker?
New, young. This is my first film. To be honest, I feel really proud that I finished it. We're sitting in my living room, which is where a lot of this film was made. So it is kind of surreal to see my film up there being reviewed or, slated in programs alongside films by Scorsese or Almodovar or something like that. I think to me it kind of feels like, pulling on your runners and turning up at the Olympics and being like, let me run on, next to Usain Bolt, I'm gonna have a go. I think that considering what I had access to and considering where I'm at in my career, I'm really proud of the work that I'm creating. So I suppose I'm just getting started.
Yeah. Would you describe yourself as a feminist filmmaker or as a queer filmmaker or as a feminist queer filmmaker? Do you apply those labels to yourself? Because you describe yourself as being feminist and being queer, but whether that actually applies to you, your approach as a filmmaker, is, I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
I don't really know either. I guess so.
Probably the best answer you could give.
I think so. It's that age-old quandary though, isn't it? Where it's you want to represent your experience and you want to represent, your people, quote unquote. I don't know. But you also don't want to be kind of hemmed into a box and be kind of well, you can only make movies about one thing. So I guess yes and no. Yeah.
Well, the film does traverse cultures and genders and belief systems and so on. So it doesn't appear that you've been boxed in to a particular approach. I did want to know what your general approach going into this film, which I understand took you 4 years to make. What was your general brief, or did you have one?
I was wanting to make something that was really conscious of style and that was really conscious of the visual and the auditory experience that the audience was going to have. You know, my first film I made, 'cause I never went to film school, I just like started making stuff. I was like, I didn't even know that was legal, but you can just go and do it. And so that's what I did. And you know, so my first film, I literally just like picked up a camera and like rode my bike across America, and that was the movie. And I didn't really think very much at all about how it would kind of look. I just wanted to get to the other side of the country, and then once I'd done that, I just wanted to get to the other side of the editing process. And so for this film, I wanted to be a lot more kind of conscious of style. So that was something that I was really thoughtful about from the beginning. But I also, you know, in terms of the content, I really wanted to make a film about women getting married that didn't position them as stupid or as bitches or as whatever. Like, I wanted to create a film that didn't judge and scrutinize women for participating in marriage. You know, and that felt particularly pertinent given the debate that was, you know, brewing and then occurred in our country while I was making this film. You know, I think that we have a tendency to assume that people who make decisions different from ours are stupid, especially people who are women. And I think I wanted to make a film that didn't judge women and that presented all of their experiences as valid and worthwhile. Yeah.
There is, as I mentioned earlier, a celebratory tone to the film, which suggests that marriage, whatever your sexuality, is something that people want. And certainly the plebiscite that we had proved that gay people, LGBTQI, etc. people want in on this tradition. One of the things that comes through in the film is the fact that limitation is part and parcel of marriage. But people want the limitation in their life. They want their lives to be defined and disciplined by somebody they love or with somebody they love. So it seems to speak to this issue that it's a universal craving that everybody has, that they want their lives to be framed by the love of someone else, and that's what that's what marriage does. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, again, like it comes back to that place where we're back in kind of contradictions and things again. You know, during the same-sex marriage debate that was going on here, I know there was a lot of fear from particularly, you know, faith communities that what will it mean if, you know, if same-sex marriage is legal, what will it mean marriage is? And I think what I want my film to say is like, well, what could it mean? You know, what are the values that we really think are important? What are the things that we really want to hold on to? And what are the things that we want to add to and interrogate and develop and change? You know, culture is a moving beast, and I think it has to be. Yeah, but again, like this is where we kind of come back to, and not just with marriage, but I think with any element of culture or tradition, is you find yourself wanting to simultaneously participate in that culture, but also to change it, you know, to be defined by it and to define it yourself.
The film is a big bag of ideas and conversation starters and debating points and so on. Was that your intention?
Yes. Yes, I mean, I know that I've been a little bit criticised for sort of not taking enough of a view, or not kind of, you know, I guess coming across and saying, I don't know, marriages are great and everyone should get married, or marriage is terrible and no one should get married. But I don't like to dwell in that space. Like, I want to be making films that are more nuanced and that challenge people a little bit more. I don't want to serve people easy solutions and tell them what to think. I want them to look at the world and have a lot of questions and be a little bit confronted. Yeah.
Okay, so tell me what the life of this film is. You've got about a week of screenings as of the time of this interview, but tell me, you spent 4 years making the damn thing, so it's now in release. What happens to it? What is its afterlife after it's screened?
It's really hard to say. I think that most filmmakers would say that the days of theatrical releases are dwindling somewhat. I mean, there's some exceptions to that rule, but certainly for low-budget local documentaries, they don't typically get a huge theatrical run. So I'm really happy that we got a theatrical run. It makes me really proud to be able to say that I made a film that's going into theatres today. It's probably playing right now, so that's really exciting. It's hard to say what will happen next. I mean, just the fact that it got into Sydney is pretty insane. Like, I can't express enough how much I expected to be showing this film on like a bed sheet out the back of somebody's house. Like, I didn't expect it to be going to a major festival or to get nominated for an award or to then, you know, end up in theatres. So everything that's happened has just been a hugely pleasant surprise. And I mean, I would guess that it's probably going to end up on some sort of online service at some point after theatrical, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And yeah, everybody come see my film.
How are you supporting yourself while you made this film?
Yeah, so I worked as a school teacher for the last sort of 5 years. So for the duration of production, I was working as a school teacher. I taught in sort of an alternative government school, and I taught media, English, maths, and sex education. And yeah, I mean, that's why this film, partially why this film took so long to make, was I was trying as best I could to try and film weddings that took place in school holidays, because that was when I was able to get time off work, although work were very flexible and supportive of me as well. But yeah, I mean, I think that the reality is too that it was, you know, this film was for the most part self-funded, and it took a really long time for me to save the money to go and film in different countries and to have enough money to like take time off to go and do that. Yeah, so yeah, it took a really long time.
How did you fall into filmmaking? How did you become a filmmaker?
I don't know. I just...
Because your IMDb credit list is quite interesting.
Yeah.
You did some visual effects work and so on.
Yeah.
Can you give it to us in a nutshell? Or?
Yeah, I mean, basically I started off as a journalist, and then I realised pretty quickly that I didn't want to work in journalism in that sort of narrow definition anyway. I wanted to work in, I guess, stories more broadly. That sounds a bit wanky, but you know what I mean. And then, yeah, I basically just, like, when I was really early in my career, I guess I just would take any opportunity that I could. And, you know, one of the opportunities that presented itself to me was to work in visual effects. So I did, you know, get a few credits on some visual effects sort of Hollywood films, which was awesome.
Such as?
I worked on Mad Max, Fury Road. Worked on Wolverine. I worked on a film called I, Frankenstein, a few others. Yeah, so sort of big budget Hollywood stuff. Quite different to sort of, you know, low budget, like Australian documentaries. Yeah, so I've done a few different things.